February 12, 1945. Tai Binh Province, northern Indochina. Cold mist clings low over the paddies, turning the rice fields into pale grey water mirrors. When Van Ossie hears them before he sees them. Truck engines. Not the slow wooden creak of ox carts. Not fishermen poling through canals. Engines. Military. He straightens from the muddy water, sickle still in hand. The stalks around him are thin this year, shorter, brittle. A poor winter crop. Not enough even for his own family. The engines grow louder. Then boots. Japanese. 3 trucks grind to a stop on the dirt road beside the dike. Canvas flaps snap open. Soldiers jump down, rifles slung, bayonets fixed. Their uniforms are damp with fog, steel helmets darkened by dew. A Kempeitai sergeant shouts something sharp. A Vietnamese interpreter translates flatly. Collect all rice. Government requisition. Immediately. Oh feels his stomach tighten. Government requisition. Everyone knows what that means now. It means empty barns. It means no seed for spring. It means hunger. Behind him, other farmers freeze mid-harvest. No one speaks. A corporal walks straight past them and kicks open the bamboo door of the communal granary. Inside, sacks stacked shoulder high, the village's emergency reserve. The corporal grins. They begin hauling the sacks out like spoils of war. You can hear the sound clearly, burlap scraping wood, grain shifting inside like dry sand. Life being carried away. Please, an old woman says, bowing repeatedly. Leave some for the children. The interpreter doesn't even look at her. Orders are orders. The sacks disappear into the trucks. By noon, the granary is hollow. By afternoon, the fields are stripped. By sunset, the convoy rolls away toward Haiphong port, rice destined for Japanese troops and export routes the villagers will never see. Only mud remains. And silence. The hunger doesn't arrive all at once. It creeps. Like damp cold through bamboo walls. First, meals shrink. A full bowl becomes half. Half becomes thin gruel, rice stretched with water and sweet potato vines. Then even the vines run out. By early March, LOC's wife boils banana tree pith. It tastes like wet rope. His youngest son cries all night. The sound is small at first, then weaker, then constant. A starving child doesn't wail loudly. He whimpers like a sick animal. In the district town, French colonial officials still hold office inside yellow stucco buildings, ceiling fans turning lazily overhead. Paperwork continues. Taxes continue. Rice quotas continue. On one desk sits a ledger stamped. Indochine Française, production obligatoire. The French administrators argue over numbers. Shortfalls. Transport delays. Rail sabotage. But no one reduces the quotas. No one dares. Because the Japanese garrison across town watches everything. Since 1940, Vichy France rules in name only. Japan holds the guns. So the system grinds forward, colonial bureaucracy serving an occupying army. And the peasants pay twice. Once to France. Once to Japan. Until nothing is left. March storms roll in from the Gulf of Tonkin. Cold rain floods the Red River Delta. Dikes crack. Water spills across fields that should already be seeded for the next crop. The last stored rice rots in damp huts. Boats that once carried grain south are seized for military transport. Rail lines are bombed by Allied aircraft targeting Japanese supply routes. Nothing moves. Food can't travel. Even provinces with surplus can't help the north. The country is slowly strangling itself. Not by one blow, but by a tightening rope. One morning, LOC walks to market. Or what used to be market. There are no vegetables. No fish. No rice sellers. Only people sitting against walls. Too tired to stand. Too weak to beg. A girl, maybe 8, lies curled beside a basket. He thinks she's sleeping. Then he notices flies gathering at her eyes. No one moves her. No one has the strength. The smell is new now. Sweet. Rotting. Death mixed with wood smoke. By afternoon, a cart rolls through town. 2 men load bodies onto it like firewood. No ceremony. No coffins. Just stacking. Thud. 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 Someone mutters, "Bien moi hom nay." 30 today. Tomorrow will be more. That night, Elsie counts what's left in his house. A handful of rice dust. 3 sweet potatoes. Nothing else. His wife doesn't speak. She just stares at the children sleeping, ribs showing through skin like bamboo slats. Outside, the wind moves through the empty paddies. No frogs. No insects. No life. Just the sound of dry stalks scraping together, like bones. And for the first time, he understands something terrible. This isn't a bad season. This isn't a shortage. This is starvation. And it's only beginning. March 3rd, 1945. Road 5, between Tai Binh and Hai Phong. Dawn comes grey and windless. Nguyen Van Elsie ties a strip of old cloth around his waist to hold up trousers that no longer fit. He has lost too much weight. His cheekbones cut sharp against his skin. His collarbones stand out like hooks. Beside him, his wife wraps their youngest child against her back with a faded scarf. The boy doesn't cry anymore. That scares her most. Crying means strength. Silence means something worse. They lock the door of their hut even though there is nothing left to steal. Habit. Then they join the line on the road. Hundreds already walking. Old men with sticks. Mothers carrying bundles. Children barefoot on cracked earth. No one talks much. It isn't an evacuation ordered by soldiers. It's quieter than that. It's migration. Instinct. Like animals leaving a dying river. Someone said Hai Phong still has food. Someone said the Japanese warehouses are full. Someone said the city dumps leftover rice husks you can boil. Rumors are enough. Rumors are hope. And hope is the only thing still free. The road smells of damp straw and sweat. With every step, LOC's legs tremble. You can almost feel it with him, the strange lightness in the head, the ringing in the ears, the way your body feels hollow, like it's burning itself from the inside. Starvation isn't just hunger. It's dizziness. Cold in the bones. Thoughts moving slowly, like mud. By mid-morning, they pass the first body. A man face down in the ditch. Bare feet caked with clay. No wounds. Just thin. So thin his shirt hangs like cloth on a stick. A conical hat lies a meter away. No one stops. They can't. If you stop walking, you might not start again. Further down the road, a French military truck rumbles past. 3 colonial soldiers in khaki, tirailleurs Indochinois, stare out the back. They don't meet anyone's eyes. Orders are strict. Protect depots, protect rail lines. Do not interfere with civilian movement. Do not distribute supplies. There isn't enough even for the garrisons. Inside the truck, sacks of rice are stacked high. Property of the army. Untouchable. The smell of grain drifts out. Warm. Starchy. Alive. The crowd watches the truck disappear like it's carrying gold. One woman begins to sob quietly. Not loud. Just air escaping a broken chest. Near noon, they reach a small bridge. People have gathered there. Too many. Something's wrong. LOC pushes forward. Then he sees. A boy, maybe 12, tried to cross the river alone. Too weak. He collapsed halfway. Now he lies sprawled across the planks, still clutching a cloth bag. Inside the bag, wild grass and tree bark. That was his food. Someone has already taken the bag. Even the bark. A man beside LOC whispers, Troy Oi. Oh God. But there is no time for prayer. The line keeps moving. The dead are simply step around. Like rocks. By late afternoon, Hai Phong's outer districts come into view. Factory chimneys. Warehouses. The port cranes like metal skeletons against the sky. Normally, this place buzzes with ships and commerce. Now it feels tense. Military trucks everywhere. Japanese sentries at intersections. Bayonets catching the light. A Kempeitai patrol stops the crowd. An officer shouts. The interpreter translates. No loitering. No begging. Return to your villages. Return. To what? An old man kneels and bows. Please, sir. We have nothing. The officer's face doesn't change. He gestures. 2 soldiers shove the crowd back with rifle butts. A woman falls. Her baby slips from her arms and hits the dirt. No one reacts fast enough. The baby doesn't move. She screams, a sound so raw it cuts through the whole street. Even the soldiers hesitate, just for a second. Then the officer snaps another order, and they move on. Because discipline matters more than mercy. Because war makes everything smaller than survival. That evening, LOC's family shelters beneath an abandoned awning near the market. The city is worse than the village. Not better. Every doorway has someone lying in it. People too weak to stand. Some still breathing. Some not. Municipal carts roll by with bells ringing. A warning sound. The body collectors. 2 men with cloth masks lift corpses with bamboo poles. Hook. Lift. Drop. Like sacks of trash. One collector mutters numbers as he works. 17, 18, 19. Just today. The carts head toward the outskirts. Mass pits already dug. No names recorded. No markers. Just earth. Night falls. Cold. LOC's wife whispers, "Tomorrow we try the docks. Maybe fish scraps." He nods. He doesn't tell her what he's thinking. That the Japanese guard the docks tighter than fortresses. That there is no food left to steal. That his son hasn't moved all evening. He touches the boy's cheek. Too warm. Too still. In the darkness, the city smells of coal smoke and decay. Somewhere far off, artillery thunders faintly. Americans bombing supply lines again. The war continues. Empires clash. Generals draw arrows on maps. And here, on this hard wooden floor, a family curls together, listening to their stomachs twist and growl like animals. You realize something awful as you sit with them in that dark. No one is coming to help. Not France. Not Japan. Not the Allies. Not anyone. Only hunger. And tomorrow, the roads will be even more crowded. Because the famine is no longer hiding in villages. Now it has reached the cities. And it is swallowing everything. March 10th, 1945. Hai Phong Harbour District, before sunrise. Fog rolls in thick from the Gulf, swallowing the docks and turning the cranes into black ghosts. Somewhere out in the grey, a ship horn moans. Low. Hollow. Lonely. Nguyen Van LSE wakes to the sound of coughing. Not one person. Dozens. Dry, scraping coughs from bodies that have nothing left to expel. Around him, the market square has become a camp of the starving. Families huddled under broken stalls. Old women wrapped in rice sacks. Children with swollen bellies and stick legs. No one really sleeps anymore. They just drift in and out of exhaustion. His wife nudges him. "Go early," she whispers. "Before the soldiers." He nods and stands too fast. The world tilts. Black spots swarm his vision. For a second, he thinks he's going to faint. He grips a wooden post and waits for the dizziness to pass. Hunger has changed time. Minutes stretch. Steps feel like kilometers. Even breathing takes effort. He walks toward the docks with a small tin bowl. Not for pride. Not for trade. Just to scrape whatever might be thrown away. Fish guts. Rice water. Anything. The streets are already lined with bodies. Some sitting upright against walls like they're resting. Some lying flat. Some covered with newspapers. You can't always tell which ones are alive. Until you see the flies. Or the lack of them. At an intersection, a French colonial policeman stands beside a barricade. His uniform hangs loose on his own thinning frame. He looks at the crowd the way a man watches rain, powerless to stop it. A Vietnamese auxiliary beside him mutters, "There's too many now." The policeman lights a cigarette with shaking hands. "We can't arrest hunger," he says quietly. "They let everyone pass. What else can they do?" At the harbour gate, Japanese sentries block the entrance. Arisaka rifles. Bayonets fixed. A wooden sign. Military zone. No civilians. Beyond the fence, Elsie sees them. Warehouses. Stacks of rice sacks. Hundreds. Maybe thousands. Enough to feed every village he knows. His stomach clenches so hard it hurts. So the food exists. It's just not for them. A group of women approach the gate and bow repeatedly. "Please," one begs in broken Japanese. "Just sweepings. Just the dust." A corporal shoves her back with his rifle. She falls. Doesn't get up right away. The guard doesn't even look at her again. Orders are absolute. The army eats first. Always. Near the quay, Fishermen clean their morning catch under supervision. Every fish counted. Every crate inspected. Most of it requisitioned immediately for the garrison. What remains is tiny, scraps tossed aside. The starving surge forward the moment a basket tips. Hands claw at slime and bones. People fighting over fish heads. Over spines. Over scales. You hear it, not shouting. Growling. Animal sounds. LSE drops to his knees with them. Dignity died weeks ago. His fingers close around something soft. Half a rotten sardine. He almost cries with relief. Almost. He wipes it on his sleeve and stuffs it into his mouth hole. Salt. Rot. Grease. It tastes like heaven. Then the shouting starts. Kempe tie. Black armbands. Pistols drawn. Back. Back. A baton cracks across someone's shoulder. Another across a skull. People scatter. Too slow. A young man clutches a small sack of rice he must have stolen from somewhere. 2 officers grab him. He screams. Not brave. Not defiant. Just terrified. I didn't take much. Please. My mother. A pistol shot. Sharp. Echoing off the warehouses. The man drops instantly. Rice spills across the stones like white rain. For a moment, everyone freezes. Then something horrifying happens. People dive for the spilled grains. Even with the body still there. Even with blood mixing into the rice. Because hunger is stronger than fear. Stronger than shame. Stronger than death. You feel it too, that awful understanding. If you were there, you might do the same. By afternoon, the body carts roll again. More than yesterday. Much more. Workers tie cloth around their faces to block the smell. One mutters to another, "We need bigger pits." The other just nods. They stopped counting days ago. When LOC returns to the market square, he knows something is wrong immediately. His wife is rocking back and forth. Back and forth. Like a boat. The child in her arms doesn't move. Too still. Too light. Too quiet. His youngest son's eyes are half open. Cloudy. His lips slightly blue. No breath fogs the air. For a long time, LC just stares. No tears come. He's too empty. She whispers, "He stopped. Just stopped." Like a clock winding down. Around them, no one reacts. Not because they're cruel. Because this happens every hour now. Death has become ordinary. Routine. Expected. He lifts the small body. It weighs almost nothing. Like carrying dry bamboo. They walk together to the edge of the square where the collectors wait. A man with a ledger looks up. Family name. Nguyen. The man nods and gestures toward the cart. There is no prayer. No incense. No coffin. Just a space between 2 strangers. Thud. Wood on wood. LOC's hand lingers a second too long. Then the collector gently pushes it away. Next, he says. Because there is always a next. As dusk settles over Hai Phong, the sky glows red from distant fires and bombed rail yards. Warplanes drone somewhere far away. Empires still fighting their grand battles. But here on the ground, the real war is quieter. Slower. Crueler. A war against empty stomachs. Against time. Against the simple need to eat. And it's a war the civilians are losing by the thousands every day. LOC and his wife sit in silence as darkness swallows the city. They have lost a son. They have no food. And tomorrow will be worse. Because rumors are spreading now. Whispers that the Japanese are preparing something. Something big. Something that will change everything. Not relief. Not aid. But power. And when empires fight over power, it's always the starving who pay first. March 9th, 1945. Hanoi, French Governor's Palace. 1940 hours. Rain taps softly against shuttered windows. Inside the pale yellow colonial mansion, ceiling fans spin lazily above polished tile floors. Crystal glasses clink. A gramophone hums faintly. French officers in pressed khaki uniforms sip watered wine and pretend the war is far away. Colonel Henri all but checks his pocket watch. The Japanese have been tense lately, he mutters. Across the table, a younger lieutenant shrugs. They need us. Administration, railways, rice collection. Without us, this place collapses. Orbit nods. He wants to believe that. Outside, lightning flickers. Then, truck engines. Not one. Many. They stop all at once. Doors slam. Boots hit pavement in perfect unison. The gramophone needle scratches. Someone goes to the window. Freezes. Mon Colonel. Orbit joins him. Through the rain-streaked glass, Japanese infantry fanning out across the courtyard. Machine guns. Mortars. Bayonets already fixed. Not a patrol. An assault. The gates explode inward. The first shots crack like boards snapping. So this is it. After 5 years of uneasy cooperation, the mask is gone. Japan no longer needs France. Tonight, they take everything. Across northern Vietnam, the same scene repeats. Hanoi, Haiphong, Nam Dinh. At barracks and offices, French colonial troops scramble half awake for rifles that were never meant to face their supposed allies. Telephone lines go dead. Radio rooms smashed. Japanese officers shout orders in clipped, brutal tones. Kempeitai squads kick down doors. Hands up. Weapons down. Some French resist. Most don't. It's over in hours. The coup is swift, precise, brutal. By midnight, French Indochina has effectively ceased to exist. The tricolour flags are torn down. The rising sun goes up. Japan now rules directly. In Haiphong, Elsie wakes to the sound of gunfire echoing through the streets. Short bursts. Then explosions. He sits up, heart racing. For a moment, he thinks it's an air raid. But the sounds are too close. Too sharp. Soldiers shouting. Running. The starving camp around him stirs in confusion. What's happening? Are the Americans here? Is it the Chinese? Rumors fly faster than bullets. By dawn, smoke rises from the direction of the French garrison. Black and oily against the sky. A group of Vietnamese dockworkers hurry past. They're fighting each other, one says breathlessly. Japanese attacking French. Another laughs, not happy, but stunned. Let them kill each other. For a brief second, something like hope flickers. If the French are gone, if Japan is distracted, maybe food will be released. Maybe the warehouses will open. Maybe. But reality settles fast. By midday, Japanese patrols double. Stricter. Harsher. Nervous fingers on triggers. The occupation tightens, not loosens. The Kempeitai begins seizing buildings. Rice depots. Transport offices. Telegraph stations. Absolute control. Because war is going badly for Japan now. American submarines sink their ships. Bombers smash their railways. Every grain of rice matters more than ever. So requisitions increase. Not decrease. More seizures. More confiscations. Less for civilians. Much less. At the harbour warehouse, LSE watches from behind stack crates as Japanese soldiers load sack after sack of rice onto military trucks. He hears an officer bark. Priority to garrison and export. Export. The word makes his chest ache. Food leaving. While children die in the streets. A young Vietnamese laborer beside him whispers, they're sending it to feed troops in China. Another spits on the ground. My sister died yesterday. No one argues. There's nothing left to say. That afternoon, a strange announcement spreads through the city. Posters slapped onto walls. Printed fast and sloppy. Empire of Vietnam. Independence under Japanese protection. A puppet emperor restored. French rule officially ended. A new Vietnamese government. Independence. The word sounds big. Glorious. But as LOC looks around, nothing changes. The bodies are still here. The hunger is still here. The soldiers are still here. Independence doesn't fill a stomach. It doesn't bring back children. It's just paper. By evening, the number of dead has doubled. Because fighting cut off what little distribution remained. Because markets never opened. Because fear kept everyone hiding. The collectors can't keep up anymore. Some corpses simply stay where they fall. In doorways. On sidewalks. Against temple steps. A monk lights incense beside 3 children wrapped in straw mats. No chanting. Just smoke curling into the air. Quiet. Resigned. That night, LOC and his wife sit together, backs against a brick wall, watching flames flicker on the horizon where the French Quarter still burns. Empires collapsing. Flags changing. Guns firing. But for them, nothing improves. If anything, it's worse. Because now there's no one left to blame but the men with rifles right in front of them. And those men are desperate. Desperate men are dangerous. His wife whispers, voice hollow, "Will it ever end?" He doesn't answer. Because somewhere deep down, he understands the terrible truth. The famine doesn't care who rules. French, Japanese, Vietnamese. It feeds on chaos. And chaos has just begun. Somewhere inland, villages are already emptying completely. Entire families disappearing onto the roads. And darker rumors are starting to spread now. Stories of people eating things they never imagined. Things no one wants to name. Because when hunger goes far enough, human beings stop being human. And the worst days of the famine are still ahead. April 2nd, 1945. Red River Delta, outskirts of Nam Dinh. Dawn breaks without birdsong. No roosters. No dogs barking. Just wind moving through empty thatch roofs. Sergeant Tran Van Min of the local self-defense militia walks down the village path with an old French MES-36 rifle slung across his shoulder. He hasn't eaten properly in 4 days. Each step feels like walking underwater. The mud sucks at his sandals. Behind him trail 2 teenage boys carrying bamboo poles and a wooden cart. The wheels squeal. They used to haul rice. Now they haul something else. Min pushes open the first hut door with the rifle butt. It swings inward with a dry creak. Inside, 3 bodies lie on a woven mat. Grandmother, mother, child, curled together like they simply went to sleep. No wounds. No struggle. Just ribs pressing against skin like cage bars. A small pot sits over cold ashes. Inside, boiled grass. Unfinished. Min takes off his cap. Not a prayer, just habit. Write it down, he tells one of the boys. The boy opens a damp notebook. Family name. Fam. How many? 3. The pencil scratches. The list is already pages long. They stopped writing ages weeks ago. But Min kept doing it anyway. Because someone should remember. Because if no one writes the names, it's like they never existed. Across the delta, entire hamlets are like this now. Silent. Abandoned. Or worse. Doors open. Beds empty. Cooking fires long dead. It looks like everyone just walked away. But Min knows the truth. They didn't walk far. Follow the road and you'll find them. Collapsed in ditches. Under trees. Along canal banks. The famine has turned the countryside into a trail of the fallen. Back in Hai Phong, LOC and his wife join another column leaving the city. There's nothing left to scavenge. Nothing left to sell. Even the rats are gone. People whisper that maybe inland villages still have cassava roots. Maybe temples give out porridge. Maybe somewhere, anywhere, food exists. So they walk. Again. You feel the exhaustion with them. The way your shoulders slump forward without meaning to. The way conversation stops because talking burns energy you don't have. The road south is crowded beyond belief. Thousands. A slow, shuffling river of bone and cloth. Some carry family altars. Some carry nothing. Some carry children who don't move anymore. No one asks questions. Everyone understands. We are leaving death behind. Even if death is walking with us. By noon, the heat rises. The smell becomes unbearable. Not just sweat. Not just mud. Something sweeter. Rotting. Bodies lie every few meters now. Too many to collect. Too many to bury. Crows don't even startle when people pass. They just hop aside and continue pecking. LOC stops counting after 20. Then 30. Then he stops looking altogether. Because once you start seeing them, you can't stop. And it breaks something inside you. At a roadside well, a crowd has gathered. A single bucket. A single rope. People fighting just for water. A young mother dips her cup. A skeletal man grabs her wrist. She screams. He screams louder. Not angry. Desperate. Min, passing with his cart of bodies, fires one shot into the air. The crack echoes across the paddies. Everyone freezes. "Line up," he shouts, voice cracking. "There's enough for everyone." It's a lie, but it restores order. For now. As he watches them drink, he realizes something that chills him. They don't look like villagers anymore. They look like prisoners, like survivors of some invisible battlefield. Eyes hollow, faces grey, no strength to even cry. That evening, thunderheads gather. A sudden storm crashes down. Rain hammers the fields. For healthy farmers, rain means life. For the starving, it means disaster. Paths turn to sludge. People slip and fall. Some don't get back up. The weak simply sink into the mud and stay there, covered slowly by rainwater, as if the earth itself is burying them. Elsie tries to lift an old man who has fallen. The man waves him away. "Leave me," he whispers. "Save yourself." There's no drama, no heroism, just acceptance, like someone asking to turn off a lamp. LOC hesitates, then keeps walking, because his wife is already ahead, because stopping means joining the old man, because hunger has turned mercy into a luxury. Later, that decision will haunt him. But right now, survival is louder than guilt. Near dusk, they reach a Buddhist temple on higher ground. Smoke rises from inside. People crowd the courtyard. For a second, hope sparks. Food? Maybe. Monks move among the crowd with ladles. Large iron pots simmer. Thin liquid. Rice water. Almost clear. But it's something. Each person gets half a bowl. No seconds. No exceptions. When LOC drinks, it tastes like nothing. And everything. Warmth spreads through his chest. His hands stop shaking. For 5 minutes, he feels human again. Around him, people weep quietly while they drink. Not from sadness. From relief. Because this is the first food many have had in days. The abbot bows his head. "We share what little we have," he says softly. "But tomorrow? I don't know." Even the temples are running out. Charity can't fight a famine this big. Nothing can. As night settles, thunder rolling far away, Elsa lies on the stone courtyard beside strangers. His wife sleeps lightly, one hand still gripping his sleeve. All around them, coughing, moaning, whispering prayers. The sky flashes white with distant lightning. For a moment, it looks like artillery, like war. But this isn't a battle of guns. It's slower, quieter, crueler. And across northern Vietnam now, entire provinces are collapsing. Officials estimate hundreds of thousands dead. But the real number is already far higher. Because no one is counting the roads. No one is counting the fields. No one is counting the ones who simply vanish. And in the shadows of all this suffering, another force is beginning to move. Young men with red scarves. Whispers of resistance. Of taking rice back. Of fighting not just for independence, but for survival. Because when a government cannot feed its people, someone else will try. April 18th, 1945. A flooded rice plain outside Nam Dinh 210 hours. The night is thick and airless. No moon. Only the faint buzz of insects and the distant thud of artillery somewhere beyond the horizon. Nguyen Van Ellisy wakes to a hand on his shoulder. Not rough. Urgent. A whisper in the dark. And, "Wake up." He blinks. A young man crouches beside him, maybe 20, wearing black peasant clothes and a red cloth tied around his neck. Barefoot. Mud to the knees. Eyes sharp and alive. Too alive for someone in this time. Not starving. Hungry. Yes. But burning with something stronger. Purpose. "There's rice," the young man whispers. "A warehouse. Japanese stockpile. 2 kilometers east. We are taking it tonight." LOC stares at him. Rice. The word feels unreal. Like saying gold. Like saying miracle. Others in the temple courtyard are already sitting up. Men. Women. Even older boys. Drawn by the same word. Rice. "Who are you?" LOC asks. The young man leans closer. Viet Minh. He says it quietly, but the name carries weight. A rumor made flesh. The resistance. People who steal from the Japanese. People who attack convoys. People who say this famine isn't fate, it's murder. And murder can be fought. We don't have guns for everyone, the young man says. But we have knives, poles, fire. If we wait, we die anyway. No speeches, no slogans, just truth. If we wait, we die anyway. That's enough. They move out before dawn. A thin column slipping through the paddies. Water up to their calves. No lanterns. Just stars and memory. You can feel the tension in every step. Mud sucking, frogs splashing away, someone coughing and trying desperately to muffle it. At the front, 2 former colonial soldiers carry old French carbines wrapped in cloth to keep them dry. Behind them, villagers carry bamboo poles, hoes, sickles, farming tools turned weapons. The same tools they once used to grow rice, now used to steal it back. The warehouse sits beside a narrow rail spur, corrugated metal walls, sandbags stacked at the corners, 1 dim lantern by the door, 2 Japanese sentries smoking, laughing softly. They look relaxed. Why wouldn't they be? Who would attack starving peasants? The Viet Minh leader signals with his hand. Split. Circle. Wait. Ellisy crouches behind a dike, heart hammering so hard he thinks the guards might hear it. He's never fought anyone. Never held anything heavier than a sickle. His stomach twists, not from hunger this time. From fear. Beside him, an old farmer mutters, "For my daughter." Another, "For my wife." No one says anything about glory. Only names. Only losses. The attack lasts maybe 30 seconds. A thrown rock. A shout. Then chaos. 1 rifle cracks. A guard drops. The other reaches for his weapon, but 3 villagers crash into him at once. Clubs. Poles. Grunts. A sick, wet thud. Then silence. Breathing. Just breathing. Ellisy realizes his hands are shaking violently. He didn't strike anyone. But he watched. And something inside him, something gentle, has just died. Replaced by something harder. Something that says, survive. They smash the lock. The door slides open. And there it is. Rice. Mountains of it. Stacked sacks higher than a house. White stenciled kanji on burlap. The smell hits them first. Dry. Warm. Alive. Several people start crying immediately. Not quiet tears. Full sobs. Because for months they thought food had vanished from the world. And here it is. Hidden. Guarded. While their children died. Rage spreads faster than fire. Take it. Someone shouts. They don't need telling. People rush in, cutting sacks open, pouring rice into baskets, hats, shirts, anything. Hands digging straight into the grain like swimmers into water. Ellisy scoops both arms into a sack. The rice runs through his fingers like sand. Cool. Real. He laughs. A broken, disbelieving laugh. For the first time in months, hope doesn't feel like a rumor. It feels solid. Heavy. Edible. But time is short. Whistles blow down the tracks. More soldiers. The leader shouts, "Go! Go now!" They scatter into the paddies, each carrying what they can. Gunshots crack behind them. Bullets slap water. Someone falls. No one turns back. They can't. Because everyone finally understands. This isn't theft. This is survival. This is war. By sunrise, smoke rises from dozens of villages. Cooking fires. Real ones. For the first time in weeks. Thin rice porridge bubbles in battered pots. Children sip slowly, like it's sacred. Some vomit from eating too fast. Some simply fall asleep mid-bowl. But they are alive. Alive. The word feels enormous. Min watches from the road as people share handfuls of rice like treasure. For once, his body cart is empty. No pickups this morning. Just quiet. Just the sound of spoons scraping bowls. He hasn't heard that sound in months. It almost feels like peace. Almost. Because he knows one raid won't stop the famine. There are too many warehouses. Too many soldiers. Too many mouths. But something has changed. The starving are no longer just waiting to die. They are moving. Organizing. Fighting back. And when people who have nothing left begin to fight, empires start to shake. In the distance, thunder rolls again. But this time it isn't a storm. It's artillery. The war is closing in. Japan is weakening. The world is shifting. And in that chaos, Vietnam is beginning to rise. Hungry, angry, and determined never to starve like this again. June 3rd, 1945. Hanoi, dawn. The city smells of smoke and boiling rice water. Not fresh rice. Never fresh. Just the thin, starchy ghost of it. Private First Class Sato Kenji of the Imperial Japanese Army leans against a sandbag checkpoint near the Long Bien Bridge, rifle across his lap. He hasn't slept properly in 3 nights. American bombers passed overhead again before dawn. The ground still trembles faintly from distant strikes on the rail yards. He rubs his eyes and watches the road. It's already filling. Civilians. Hundreds. Walking. Always walking. He used to think they were evacuating. Now he understands. They are drifting. Like leaves. Nowhere to go. He lights a cigarette and tries not to look too closely. But it's impossible not to see. Children with heads too big for their necks. Women whose faces look 50 at age 20. Men so thin their uniforms hang like laundry. They don't look like enemies. They don't even look alive. They look like shadows. Kenji mutters under his breath, "Shikata ga nai." It can't be helped. It's what he tells himself every day. Because if he doesn't say that, he might start thinking. And thinking is dangerous. Across the bridge, LSE walks with a sack over his shoulder. Inside, 2 kilos of rice from the Viet Minh raid weeks ago. It's almost gone. Carefully rationed. 1 handful per meal. Just enough to keep death a few steps behind. But the famine hasn't ended. Not even close. For every village that stole rice, 10 more never had the chance. People still collapse along the road. Still die in markets. Still vanish overnight. The difference now is quieter. Less sudden. Not mass die-offs like March. More slow fading. Like candles burning out one by one. Near Dong Shen Market, a municipal clerk sits at a folding table with stacks of paper. His job, record the dead. Name, age, village, cause. But by June, the forms are mostly blank. Because families aren't around to report anymore. Because entire households are gone. Because sometimes there's no one left who even knows the name. So he writes the same thing over and over. Vo Dan. Unknown. 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 The pile grows. Pages flutter in the hot wind like pale leaves. Empty names. An entire tragedy reduced to a word. At a pagoda courtyard, monks ladle out thin kanji again. The line stretches into the street. A boy in front of LSE sways on his feet. Maybe 10 years old. Holding a broken enamel bowl. He looks back at LOC and tries to smile. My mother says the Americans will come soon, the boy says weakly. They'll bring food. LOC nods. Maybe. He doesn't have the heart to say the truth. That bombs don't bring rice. That warplanes don't feed children. The boy takes 3 more steps. Then just folds. Straight down. Like his bones vanished. His bowl rolls across the stones with a hollow clink. No blood. No cry. Just stillness. The line doesn't even break. 2 men gently drag him aside so others can move forward. Because if you lose your place, you might not eat today. And if you don't eat today, you might be next. LSE stares at the empty bowl for a long time. Then hands it to a monk. Give it to someone else, he whispers. By midsummer, the numbers become impossible. District officials estimate hundreds of thousands dead. Then 1 million. Then more. No one really knows. There aren't enough clerks. Not enough paper. Not enough time. Graves fill faster than they can be dug. In some provinces, bodies are buried in irrigation ditches. In others, simply covered with straw and ash. The Red River carries some away. Fishermen refuse to cast nets near certain bends. Too many shapes under the water. Kenji stands guard again that afternoon as another convoy of rice sacks rolls past. Destination: Japanese units retreating toward China. Orders from Tokyo. Feed the army first. Always the army. He watches a little girl chase the truck for several meters. Barefoot. Crying. GAO. GAO. Rice. Her voice cracks. She stumbles and falls. The truck doesn't slow. Kenji feels something twist in his gut. He almost moves, almost says something, but the sergeant beside him barks, "Ignore them." So he does. Because he's 19. Because he's tired. Because he just wants to survive the war and go home. Later, he'll remember that girl for the rest of his life. Long after he forgets battles. Long after he forgets orders. Some memories don't fade. That evening, rain finally comes again. Heavy. Warm. The paddies begin to refill. Farmers who still have strength start planting the next crop. Thin seedlings pressed into mud with trembling fingers. Hope planted alongside rice. But it will take months to grow. Months the starving may not have. LOC and his wife sit under a bamboo shelter, sharing the last handful from their sack. Just a small bowl each. He watches lightning flicker over the fields. Somewhere out there, Viet Minh units are moving again. Taking more depots. Recruiting more villages. Whispers of revolution spreading like fire through dry grass. Because after what happened this year, after watching children die while warehouses overflowed, after seeing two empires fail them completely, people are done waiting for rulers to save them. They will save themselves. Or die trying. His wife rests her head on his shoulder. For the first time, she whispers, "I think we might live." He nods slowly. Not certain, but not hopeless either. Between those two feelings, despair and survival, is a thin line. Vietnam has been walking that line for months now. And the monsoon winds are shifting. The war is turning. Japan is weakening. And something bigger than hunger is gathering strength. Something that will change the country forever. But before that future comes, there is still one last season to endure. One last accounting. Because when the famine finally loosens its grip, what it leaves behind will shock even those who survived it. August 15th, 1945. Hanoi, early morning. The air feels strangely still. No gunfire. No trucks. No shouted commands. Just cicadas in the trees and the soft clatter of bicycle wheels on stone. Nguyen Van Earthy stands outside a shuttered tea stall when the rumor reaches him. Not whispers this time. Shouting. Running feet. Not Do Hang Roy. Japan has surrendered. The words spread like fire through dry straw. People pour into the street. Dock workers. Monks. Children. Survivors wrapped in rags. Surrendered. Someone asks. To the Americans. Another yells. The Emperor spoke on the radio. Radio. Most have never even heard one. But the message travels anyway. Japan is finished. The empire that took their rice. The empire that guarded the warehouses. The empire that shot starving thieves in the docks. Gone. Just gone. For a long moment, no one knows what to do. There's no cheering at first. Just confusion. Like waking from a nightmare and not trusting the light. Then a woman starts laughing. Too loud. Almost hysterical. Then others. Then crying. Then shouting. People embrace strangers. Some fall to their knees. Not in prayer. In exhaustion. Because maybe, finally, the pressure on their throats has lifted. At the old Japanese checkpoint near Long Bien Bridge, Kenji sits alone on an ammunition crate. His rifle rests on the ground, bolt removed. Orders came at dawn. Cease operations. Await disarmament. He stares at the road. The civilians walking past don't avoid him anymore. They don't bow. They don't lower their eyes. They just walk. As if he's already invisible. He feels lighter. And emptier. All those months guarding rice while children died. For what? For an empire that just vanished overnight. He watches a group of Vietnamese youths tear down a rising sun flag from a government building. They don't even look at him. The war ended without glory. Without meaning. Just hunger. He closes his eyes. Somewhere far away, he hears cheering. But the famine doesn't end with surrender. Not instantly. Because surrender doesn't fill granaries. Doesn't raise the dead. Doesn't rebuild villages. For weeks, people are still dying. Bodies weakened too long. Diseases spreading through camps. Cholera. Dysentery. Fever. You survive starvation, only to fall to infection. Cruel mathematics. Relief finally begins trickling in. Chinese nationalist troops move south to disarm the Japanese. American aircraft drop limited supplies. Some seized warehouses are opened. For the first time in months, official distribution starts. Rice ladled openly in daylight. Not stolen. Not hidden. Just given. LOC stands in line holding an actual ration ticket. A square of paper stamped with ink. It feels unreal. When the clerk pours rice into his sack, real, white, clean rice, he just stares. The grains look almost too perfect. Like something from another life. "You're holding up the line," the clerk says gently. LOC nods, embarrassed. He didn't realize he'd frozen. Because this is the first time in half a year he hasn't had to beg or steal to eat. The first time food wasn't guarded by a rifle. Days later, he returns to his home village. Or what used to be one. The path is overgrown. Doors hang open. Weeds sprout through floorboards. Of the 30 families who lived here, maybe 8 have returned. 8. The rest, dead on the roads, dead in cities, dead in fields, or simply gone. No one knows. Min is there, sitting on the old communal well. His militia rifle gone. Now just a farmer again. He shows LOC the notebook. The one with the names. Pages swollen from rain. Ink smeared. But still readable. Line after line. Fam. Tran. La. Nguyen. 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 So many Nguyen. Min flips to the last page. "I stopped writing," he says quietly. "Why?" LOC asks. "There weren't enough pages." They both laugh softly. Not because it's funny. Because it's the only sound left. In the following weeks, officials finally attempt to count. Village by village. Province by province. How many gone? 1 million. 1.5. 2. No one agrees. The numbers blur. Too many unmarked graves. Too many families erased completely. In some hamlets, half the population vanished. In others, 2/3. Entire bloodlines ended. Like they were never here. The famine didn't just kill people. It deleted them. From records. From memory. From history. Unless someone tells the story. Unless someone remembers. One evening, LOC and his wife sit beside a small cooking fire outside their rebuilt hut. A pot of fresh rice bubbles gently. Real rice. Not grass. Not bark. Not water. Just rice. The smell alone makes his chest tighten. He serves 2 bowls. Steam rising into the dark. They eat slowly. Carefully. Like it might disappear. Around them, the village is quiet. Not dead quiet. Living quiet. Crickets. Frogs. A baby crying somewhere. A strong, angry cry. The most beautiful sound is heard all year. Life returning. Fragile. But real. He thinks of his son. Of the cart. Of the dockside shooting. Of the road covered with bodies. Of warehouses full of grain. Of empires fighting over land while children starved at their feet. And he understands something with painful clarity. This wasn't just nature. Not just bad weather. Not just war. It was decisions. Policies. Greed. Indifference. Men with power choosing who eats and who doesn't. And 2 million paid the price. 2 million stories that ended without graves, without photographs, without names. Just silence. The fire crackles softly. His wife leans against him. For the first time in months, there is enough food for tomorrow. Maybe even next week. He watches smoke drift up into the night sky and whispers, almost to himself, "We survived." Not victory. Not triumph. Just survival. And sometimes, after a year like 1945, that is the greatest miracle of all.